you're listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. I'm a professor of psychology, a psychotherapist, a writer on 25 Years Later website, and a huge Twin Peaks fan. I'm not a tattoo artist or tattoo expert by any means, but I'm a tattoo enthusiast and wanted to make a podcast combining two things I love the most. Each episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast interviews someone about their Twin Peaks tattoo and explores what their ink means to them. Thanks for joining. If you ever visit Vermont, you have to stop into the Speakeasy Cafe. It's a small coffee shop in the heart of downtown Rutland, a city that's the perfect size, not too big, not too small, just right. It has a Walmart if you really need that sort of chain, but it's also still full of mom and pop stores and shops like the Speakeasy. The vibe in the coffee shop is scholarly chic, with down-home goodness stirred in each cup of joe they serve. It's a place you just feel safe going into. There's an actual stove with pots and pans hanging out behind the counter where they make delicious food to order with local ingredients. It's a kind of place where you can take a deep breath and relax, or you can catch up with an old friend, have a low-key business meeting, or write a novel. Each table has a design of a famous writer: George Orwell, J.R. Tolkien, Virginia Woolf, Stephen King. A rack of handmade cards lives on the counter. A vegan menu is displayed above the syrups. A rainbow flag hangs in the window, and a Stranger Things magnet on the espresso machine flanks two adorable stickers. One is all trans pride, and the other simply reads, "Dump your Republican boyfriend." It's perfect. It's a Saturday, and while the buzz had apparently died down, there are still about 20 people milling around in line to order, waiting for their drinks to be made, sitting at the little two-person tables, chatting in that laid-back, hippie Vermont way. It's January, so my partner and I are all bundled up in layers of scarves and thermals. I take off my knit hat, approach the register, and feel into how exciting it is to finally be meeting Sarah in person. We had recorded our Twin Peaks podcast episode last year, so it's been a while. My partner had met her in person before, but this was my first time. She greets us with a big hug, and I hand her some Blue Rose temporary tattoos. Check out last month's episode for more info on those, and a copy of issue 17 of the Blue Rose magazine. She is as kind as ever, and her energy is calm and sweet, just like I imagined. She's wearing a purple shirt that has a message about not appropriating yoga, which makes me love her that much more. "What would you like to drink?" she asks, a gentle smile peeking from her face. "I'll take whatever Twin Peaks drink you feel like making," I say. "You got it. The Donna Hayward coming right up." The Donna Hayward is a maple pistachio Americano with oat milk. Now, the drink itself does not sound like my regular morning go-to at all. I'm a cup of black espresso kind of gal, so you had me at Americano, but I'm skeptical of all the rest. But of course, I trust the barista genius of Sarah, as well as her love of Twin Peaks. The first sip is a sweetness that hits me over the head. Maple and pistachio, swirling, coating the edge of my tongue. I think, yep, this is what I was expecting. But then, in a total Donna surprise, it changes. The caffeine of the Americano smooths out the flavors, and what is left is a robustness of coffee, a darker, more intense flavor profile. She was able to somehow craft and capture the sweetness and innocence of Season 1 and Fire Walk With Me Donna. The coffee taste is so hidden, a kid could drink it and not be fazed. But the way it makes my heart beat faster, and the hit of Americano that lingers in the aftermath of the sip, is Season 2 Donna, who smokes, drinks, wears sunglasses, and gives Dr. Jacoby the scare of his life. How did she do this? It's completely amazing. You nailed it, I tell her. The drink holds the duality of her character and makes me love Donna even more. Sarah's artistry, her skill in telling the story of a complex character through a coffee drink, is stunning. I wave goodbye, thanking her again, and we walk back to the car. I notice a mix of wanting to literally skip and at the same time, a sinister smile forming, a coolness taking over me. The drink catching me and a true embodiment of Laura Flynn and Moira Kelly. In this month's episode of the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast, I talk with the phenomenal Sarah Begin. We discuss the various drinks she has created, all of which are named after a Twin Peaks character. These includes flavors like orchid syrup for Harold Smith and a dash of cayenne for Sarah Palmer. And in general, they're just so awesome. You'll want to stay tuned because at the end of this episode, she shares them all with us. We discuss our love for the unknowability of Twin Peaks and how important it is to just be present in the day-to-day, that some things can't and maybe shouldn't be explained. We talk about our evolving relationships with these characters over time and the importance of the town of Twin Peaks as a consistent backdrop to the mystery of the show. And of course, we talk about her awesome Twin Peaks and Blue Velvet tattoos. Sarah Begin is a dedicated, artsy, witchy, lover lady, specializing chiefly as an overthinker who hopes to stray on the beautiful golden sunshine side of life. Here is the fantastic witchiness of Sarah. We are just meeting, but you have met my partner who came in to a coffee shop where you work in Vermont and saw a little poster that had an advertisement for a specialized drink that was a Wyndham Earl drink. Tell us about that drink and your work at the coffee shop.
Okay, yeah. So I am like a barista, cashier, general odd jobs person at a small coffee shop. And we have a rotating barista's pick. So each one of us, like it, and the person that gets to pick, it rotates every week. So every person gets a chance. They get to choose like a drink, like specialty flavors in a latte or something. Ever since I started working there last August, with my very first drink being the Sarah Palmer, which was lemonade iced coffee with cayenne pepper on top, I have made every single one of my barista picks themed after a Twin Peaks character.
Wait, did you just say lemonade, iced coffee, and cayenne pepper?
Yes, yes.
That is perfect. That sounds like intense. Yeah.
Yeah. So the drinks are not so much what the character would drink, but what drink encaptures the energy of the character. So the drink that your partner happened to witness was Wyndham Earl. It was a matcha with orange and cardamom flavored syrup in it. So green, murky, unexpected, citrusy, just absolute game playing, like Wyndham Earl. Yeah.
Totally. Oh, that is fantastic. You nailed it. You nailed it with both of those, I think.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. It is a great delight of mine. I have a whole note in my phone going. We have orchid syrup. So when it came time to do Harold Smith, it was an Americana with mint and orchid, and I was very pleased about that little tie-in.
Oh, that's too perfect. That is so perfect. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe he saw that a day that I wasn't working, because I came back and then he came in, and some of my coworkers were like, "Oh, this guy really liked your whatchamacallit, your Twin Peaks pick or whatever." And Animal was saying like, "Oh, my partner has a podcast about Twin Peaks and tattoos, and she loves Twin Peaks." And I was like, "What?" And they were like, "Yeah, Sarah's got a little Twin Peaks tattoo." And he was like, "Yeah, and she studies like psychology and stuff." And I was like, "What?" And I was like visibly trembling because I was like, "Why is this person so cool? Why are they not here? How on earth did you show up without them in tow? Get out of my cafe." Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it's so good. It's so creative. I feel like you're bringing art in and also like starting the conversation, not starting maybe, but continuing the conversation at your workplace, because then people are looking at the signs and going, even if they don't know it, they're asking, right? Like, who is Harold Smith? What is this about? And then it's like,
I have definitely sparked a good amount of, "Oh yeah, I remember that thing is still hanging around. Is that still going?" Like recollection in people that are like, like around 40, 45, where they're like, oh yeah, Twin Peaks was on my radar, and then it's just not something I've thought of. But now it's like, oh, that just came crawling back into my mind, and now I kind of want to know what's up with it. Why is that special to you? Why is this,
Mm.
random young person in a coffee shop enamored enough over Twin Peaks to like dedicate their drink to them? What have I missed?
And that's a really
So
good segue
there.
into this question about how did Twin Peaks come into your life? Like, what's your story with Twin Peaks?
Mm, so very randomly, subtly, I don't know exactly how to say. Um, I I want to say it was maybe like 2017 or something. Um, but I spent a good amount of my like mid-teen years getting DVDs of television series from the library and watching those. And I would do like a lot of like British cop shows and detective shows. Um, just like things that had intrigue to them, things that were long running that I could get invested in. And I remember perusing the stacks, like trying to find what on earth I would watch now that I'd finished Broadchurch. And Twin Peaks was there. And I think the copy that our library had was the gold box, a little quote from David Lynch on the back that says this is the definitive gold box edition. But either way, I saw that. Um, and the first thing that came to mind was having um, somewhat recently read like a magazine, like an internet magazine article with British prog rock legend Steven Wilson, where he's asked like, "What are you watching lately?" And his response is like Twin Peaks. And I was like, well, if someone as weird and cool and creative as Steven Wilson is into Twin Peaks, then I need to see what this Twin Peaks is. So I took that out and I brought it home, and Mom was like, "Oh yeah, I watched this when it was first on. I guessed who killed Laura Palmer too. I'm not gonna tell you, but I guessed."
Wait, your mom
And
knew? She figured it out?
yeah, I mean, I did too, but like
You did.
both of us had spent an ungodly amount of time like reading and watching mysteries in our lives. So we're always looking for the plot twist. So at that point, it's just kind of like reverse psychology, like who is the least likely to have killed Laura Palmer?
See, that's
And then we just
brilliant.
bet
I
on
had no idea. I really
it.
didn't. I was so confused. My bet was Leo Johnson for so long. I had no idea. So that's,
Oh,
yeah, you guys are
yeah,
brilliant, obviously.
yeah. Wow, thank you. Yes. Yeah, so I watched that and I was absolutely enamored with first of all the mystery, which is what I was anticipating, what I quite enjoyed consuming for media. Um, but then the charming, cozy community, small town feel of going places and knowing people, without going into too much detail, because it's just a lot to talk about here and it's off topic. I had a very secluded early life. I didn't have any sort of community to speak of. So seeing people that could just, walk down to the diner and know people and, have their coffee and their routines absolutely just charmed my soul. And then the quirkiness, the inhibition of regular TV standards. Like you can kind of just put whatever the hell you want on screen and it's up for the viewer to reconcile it within themselves. Like you're not being fed an understanding, you're being fed something to understand. Just everywhere you turned, there's depth and there's darkness and there's light and there's just so much of everything that you can continuously find balance and find new experiences within it. I was out of my mind with that. It was just too good. And then when I picked up The Return, I was a bit disappointed. It was it had a more international feel. What with them being in like different, they weren't, it wasn't like exclusively in Twin Peaks, and I was kind of
Yeah.
disappointed about that. But
Mhm.
now I can kind of pull myself back and I'm like, okay, Twin Peaks, the first two seasons was what it was absolutely magical. And then the third season is like an incredible run-on experimental surrealist art film that we didn't deserve. You know, it's what's not to love.
Brilliant. That is perfectly said. Yes, that's exactly it. So you saw the entire show for the first time in 2017. Was it right before The Return came out? Were you kind of in that timeline trajectory of
You know,
watching the first and second season?
it might have actually been 2018 because I feel like it wasn't long
Mm.
after that where I just went and got the box set of The Return from the library.
Oh, okay.
Granted, it might have been sitting on the new shelf, but yeah, I didn't like see like active headlines about Twin Peaks. I found the initial series and then I was just like, oh wait, there's more, and it kind of already existed. So maybe it was a bit later than that, 2018 or something.
And did you also
Um,
see Fire Walk with Me, the prequel film?
I did, yeah. I watched that after both the first, second, and third seasons,
Mm.
and that was really heavy. That it definitely it brings you to an area of more certainty.
Mhm.
So, like Twin Peaks, a great thing is the uncertainty. You don't know what's real, you don't know what's surreal, you don't know what's spirit or what's flesh. But Fire Walk with Me feels a lot more like you're sitting in someone else's very, very present, active space, and you are bearing witness to their real world trauma. And very, very just like incredible, powerful movie in its own right, even without Twin Peaks. Like that would be something that I would find myself, revisiting when I had the emotional capacity to do so. I feel like all three of those pieces of the story, they offer very distinct, not so much different, but very distinct, diverse qualities of what it means to experience a human experience. Um, and that's largely, what has maintained Twin Peaks as a favorite for me is the very humanness of it in both what can be defined and what can't be defined, because there is so much we don't know within our experiences, and there are things we can be confident of, and there are many, like, religious systems that we seek out that tell us that we can be confident of even more things that maybe we can or we can't. But especially more recently in the last few years of my life, I have delighted in not knowing things. I have delighted in just being an active part of the world that learns day by day and not a static part that knows while the world passes me by. And to me, Twin Peaks is just a good little niche carved out to remind us that we can't explain everything. We are actively experiencing things. We can't stand aloof from the world and claim to know it. Like the very most we can hope for is to know ourselves, and even then, once we know ourselves, are we still likely to change? Are we still likely to develop and grow? Do we want to know ourselves in that sense?
For me, also, that's what's so compelling about the show are all of the unanswered questions and the way that each of us gets to play with meaning making and like looking at symbology and creating our own narratives and theories and structure around what we see in it. And that's just the interaction with the art that's so powerful in all of the different seasons and movie and whatever mini series or limited series. um, and I really appreciate how you just talked about the power of the mystery. It's the power
Mm-hmm.
of the mystery. That's what you're saying. right? It's
Right.
like that's what
Hmm.
makes it so compelling. And so to see Fire Walk with Me and really see those that last week of Laura's life on the one hand is deeply upsetting, and for me every time I watch it I dissociate and I have a hard time remembering the story, even though of course I know the story like in the back of my hand. Like it's really hard to engage with it. um
Yes.
but it's also an incredible piece of art in and of itself. But it does take out the mystery. It does ask some more interesting questions and brings in some Philip Jeffries stuff and other cool,
Hmm.
things. But yeah, I really like I really like how we're talking about the mystery.
Right, right.
When you watch it now, so I know you only watched it a few years ago for the first time. What's your relationship to the show when you watch it now, and relationship to the mystery?
Brutally honest. Sit down, think, I want to watch Twin Peaks again. Watch 1 to 3 episodes over the course of the next week. Get too busy. 3 weeks later, I want to watch Twin Peaks again. Got to start again from the beginning. Watch one. Yeah. So watch the first few episodes to death and greatly bemoan that I can't commit to enough of a schedule to watch the rest of it. That is the brutally honest truth of my relationship to Twin Peaks. Um, no, I would say there's definitely a sense of, especially with those first 2 seasons, where part of the close relationships, however good or bad they may be for the characters, part of the close relationships and the community aspect was so very important and comforting to me. It very much, the longer the time has been since I first saw it, the more I've rewatched it, it does have that wonderful, like, old friends feeling. And especially as I see, certain behavior characters might exhibit, that I feel like I have chosen or will choose, or gee, I'd like to respond more like that character in a certain situation. As I shift and grow over time, when I watch it again, I have a different perception of that character's behavior, and I can kind of see I was there and I'm not anymore, or I look a bit more like Hawk and I'm not sad about that. Like it's 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 that really enjoyable thing, like when you've had friends for a while and you're like, wow, we are fluid, we are growing together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even though the content of the show stays the same. Like, the characters are so well written, they're so nuanced. Like, you can understand so many diverse motivations. Like, it's not inherently good or bad for most of them, that there's something else to observe every time. There's something else to experience every time you watch the show. So it does feel like they're moving and changing with you as you are, but against that comforting backdrop of, this is the town I know, this is the Douglas firs I know.
Right. So like there's something static and comforting about the town that doesn't change even though it does. But the characters evolve as we grow, and maybe as we re-engage with the show, the characters change. And say what you will about season two, people have a lot of feelings about season two, but there's a lot of interesting character arcs in season two,
Mhm.
aside from the little Nikki Evelyn Marsh dilemma. Like Sheriff Truman has like a, Josie Packard heartbreak, and, goes through a
Mhm.
substance abuse issue. And, there's just kind of there's these interesting transformations that occur. And then, with the return, of course, everything shifts, for most everybody. But well, let's talk about your tattoos. Tell me about what Twin Peaks tattoo or tattoos you have. What do they look like? Are they color? Are they black and gray? What's your tattoo story?
Okay, so my Twin Peaks tattoo. I have a second sort of Twin Peaks tattoo that I actually realized would be a fun addition to that call. So that might be something I can add in a minute. But my Twin Peaks tattoo, I honestly kind of felt a bit hesitant and unworthy to be called up for this role right now, because it is a little black and white, like, owl cave symbol about the size of a pinky fingernail. interwoven into a larger piece. Um, but the significance for me is like it's very potent. So the actual tattoo that my Twin Peaks tattoo is within runs the entire length of my left arm. There is a tree of life on my outer bicep with some added lines and intricacies, and a line that connects it down to the inner forearm with just a bunch of really cool fine line geometric doodads, all the way down to the quote on my wrist that says, "Maybe we're here in order to experience people as a reason for love." I lifted the quote out of Andrei Tarkovsky's 1971 film Solaris because it really resonates with me. That's where I am. That's where I want to be in life. That's basically my entire life philosophy is experiencing people, myself included, and working on it as a reason for love. Um, and the significance of the design that I built out of that quote is both natural systems and technical systems. So it looks like computer circuitry, but we also have the tree. There are symbols that stand for rain, like cycles of sun and rain and decomposition. Pretty much right at the heart of it is the Twin Peaks symbol.
Where did you get the tattoo and what do you remember about collaborating with your tattoo artist? I know it's a part of a bigger piece. So, did you do it in segments? Is it all the same person? Tell me that
So,
story.
um, I met my tattoo artist through working at the cafe. He was a regular, and I didn't, like I was just familiar with him as he comes in every day. He gets a large peppermint iced coffee. His name is Adrian. Um, and then when I did my first Twin Peaks pick, like I put the little board up and then I left. And when I came back the next day, like one of the baristas was like, there was a customer that got really excited about that and they thought that was so cool. And it was Twin Peaks. And I found out that it was Adrian. And I was like, oh, that's so cool, Twin Peaks buddy. And like I wasn't really like thinking about tattoos. Like I was kind of thinking of one that I wanted to get for my birthday that year, some little mint leaves on my hand, which I did do, and it was lovely. And then when I was like, I need to find a tattoo artist for that, I heard someone mention like, oh, Adrian's actually a tattoo artist. And I was like, oh, really? So I kind of like, Googled him, like tried to make sure he's not super sketchy because, shameless, you gotta do that
You
sometimes.
have to.
And it seemed completely fine. He's got a little shop called Indivisible Ink right down the street from where I work. So I just popped over there one day and I was like, hey, can I do this tattoo or whatever? So I got that one done. And then when I was planning the bigger piece, like I said, it wasn't really Twin Peaks themed. But like we had like fun conversations about Twin Peaks while we were doing other stuff, of course. So when I was planning this one, and I was like, and I just want like these cool geometric shapes. And then like in the notes that I had written him for that, I had added like, oh, maybe throw in the owl cave symbol. And then when we sat down, he was just like drawing the whole thing up. And he was like, definitely putting in the owl cave symbol. There's no way you can't have that. And I was like, thank you. Yes. So it was definitely, it was fun that like before I even knew of him in the context as a tattoo artist or as my tattoo artist, I knew this is just some customer that likes Twin Peaks. And then that fun like, oh yeah, fellow fan, like you definitely need this. I'm like, you're right, I need
It
this.
makes all the difference when your artist also like deeply understands the
Oh gosh,
symbology.
yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
people are wonderful and they draw things and it looks great, but to have somebody who actually knows what the
Mhm.
owl cave symbol means and it's like a whole different thing.
Right. And he's got a few Twin Peaks tattoos himself. I need to get in touch with this with the
Oh
him
yeah.
for the podcast.
Oh, totally.
To
Yeah, I'd
talk
love to
about
talk to
those.
him. Hmm.
I've heard one or two stories about them, which are kind of moving and personal. So I don't know where he'd fall on that line, but I feel like he might be interested if he had the time. Yeah.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and then I also more recently with him, I did my blue velvet themed tattoo,
Wait, what's
which
that?
it's a little like single line drawing of a robin, and the line kind of feeds into this little Degas rune that looks like it's wearing a bow tie. But the symbology behind that is Sandy. Let me say that's her name. Jeffrey's girlfriend. Her
Yeah,
her dream
Laura
was to
Dern.
Yes, her dream of the robins, where, the world was dark and there was no love and everyone was so upset. And
Mm,
then all the robins came and the robins brought the love.
mm,
So I put it like right off center from my heart. So it's kind of like a little like it has the rune in there as an additional because it's a very black and white statement when you say, the world is dark and then the love comes and it's bright. Because we go through life and we experience both of those very much in tangent.
mhm.
Um, but the symbolization of the day as rune can mean doing something committedly, like head down, just daily practice of something. So daily practice of bringing the robins. It's still dark,
Mm,
but we need to commit to be the love within the darkness that'll bring partial light to it as much as we
gorgeous.
can. Yeah.
Gorgeous. What a beautiful reminder. And that it's a practice, that it doesn't just happen.
Mhm.
Fantastic. With that, with your blue velvet tattoo and also with your arm piece, how does it feel for you to be wearing this lynch symbology?
I don't really consider it as much as I should, but I love having the opportunity to do so now.
Mm,
Um, I love the feeling of commitment, of acknowledging how much they have invested to bring us such a powerful, well-rounded art piece. Um, and to be able to show up and say, in its own way, this means just as much to me as it did to you. And like, when they made that, they made it for themselves and it would have been rewarding either way. But I almost feel like like there's that like spirit of solidarity that like, hey, like I know this was rewarding in its own right, but also you deserve and you have reaped people that want to stand with you on this, people that want
mm.
to appreciate and acknowledge what this means and how much depth and how much importance it has. And as an aspect of your life's work, this was a good one. And I want to acknowledge, like personally for myself and publicly for the tattoos that can be seen, that I recognize that and that is where my values and my appreciation lies too.
Has anyone asked you any like annoying or frustrating questions about your tattoos?
Uh, I mean, you've heard me like start talking and then just really get into it and like say the same thing three times in two different wordings. um so like anyone asking me what it means, like usually it'll happen at work because I'm standing at the register wearing a t-shirt, I'm an open target. um and I'm like, I'm trying to do my job, and like I have like such an ethic of respect that it's like someone asks me a question, I'm going to give them my undivided attention and answer the question, but I also am on the job and I need to be doing the work. And I just get stressed out, like, leave me alone. This is not what I'm here for.
Right, people just waiting for their coffee, like making small talk, and you're like, no, this isn't small talk. This is like big talk.
Mhm.
I have a lot to say on this.
Yes, that is exactly it. I'm like, we can go sit down for a minute, but I might get fired. So
Maybe like come up with like a stock answer that's just like nothing, or I don't know what it is, like some kind of answer that you could just kind of swat them away while you're trying to focus on
right.
your job.
If it comes down to it, knowing me, I'll just think of the most horrible thing I can say and say it. So they're just too stunned to ask anything further.
Nice. Are there any questions that you would like to be asked about your sleeve or your other tats?
I feel like, if anything, I guess when I start out with my whole shtick of like, this is based around this quote from this Tarkovsky film, I would enjoy it if just one person was intrigued enough that I could evangelize about Tarkovsky a little bit. Like the best I can hope for is some boomer that hears me say it came out in the 70s and they're like, wow, you're watching old stuff for your age or something. And I'm like, yeah, but also he was really, really cool and just like incredible, beautiful, philosophical art. So like, please get excited about this with me.
Totally. Let's nerd together about it. Are there any Twin Peaks tattoos in your future?
Probably. When I was looking to do the little single line robin to represent the robin in Blue Velvet, my artist, knowing that I'm a big Twin Peaks fan, thought kill two birds with one stone, kind of literally. And the first drawing he made was the iconic Twin Peaks bird from the initial opening sequence. So he's still sitting on that, and I'm thinking that's going to be on my ribs as part of a larger piece. So I'll have
on
like
the
both
ribs.
Robin. Yeah.
On the ribs.
Life is short.
night.
You gotta feel it.
Woo! That's a really, really cool, iconic bird. I love that idea a lot. Would you do color?
So I like my tattoos black and white and fine line. I like I don't mind a bit of detail. I've got some quite a bit of detail in some of these, but I like it minimalist. So it just feels like a little drawing.
Very
so I
cool.
probably wouldn't do color.
Very cool. And you're saying part of a bigger piece, but we don't know the bigger piece yet. That's a work in progress.
The bigger piece is going to be some sort of magnolia tree that like runs up the side of my body and then across my collarbone, but it's got a bunch of like little details within it. It's a few years out. Actually got to plan it, actually got to get my ass in gear and save money kind of project, but it is definitely sitting in the back of my mind. And
very
so
cool. So it would run like from your ribs, like up your sternum to your collarbone, like spread out.
So it's gonna be like pretty much exclusively on the left side. So like on the side of my ribs, and then like a bit towards the back, a bit towards the front, but like pretty much like just up the side, and then over the left side towards the middle.
Fantastic.
On my chest.
And would the bird be sitting on the tree or in a different relationship?
The bird would be kind of like, I'm thinking like drawing like lines within the trunk, just as kind of like texture lines, and then like probably like pretty much like smack in the middle of the trunk on the left side of my ribs, like the lines turn into the single line Twin Peaks bird. So like it is like the tree, and like the roots stem down from it and the top stems up from it, and the Twin Peaks bird is sitting in the middle.
I can't wait to see that. That is going to be so dope. You have to send me pictures of that when that happens. I'm getting magnolia leaves actually, and magnolia flowers on my shoulder this weekend actually, which I'm really excited about. I know.
That's exciting.
Is there any character that you would love to see have a tattoo in Twin Peaks? And what tattoo would that be?
Oh gosh. I was just gonna go for the log lady because we all know she's such a badass.
She's such a badass.
I feel like she would have a tattoo of the log, just like right up her shin.
Up her shin. That's my favorite. I love that you chose that placement. That's a great answer. That's a really great answer. I was chewing on this. I always like to think of new ideas about tattoos for characters in Twin Peaks, and I was thinking that like maybe Leo would have a tattoo like that he got one of the times when he was like incarcerated, so like a prison tat, but like like on his arm, but maybe, and it's just his name, but maybe it's like misspelled, but like he doesn't even notice it. Do you know what I mean? Like he's just like proud of it, that it's like, you know, like a rite of passage for him, but like he doesn't even notice that it's misspelled.
It's in cursive and the E and the O are swapped, but he can't read cursive.
Exactly. You got it. That's exactly what I was thinking. Oh, Leo, sweetheart. If there's a season 4 of Twin Peaks, which maybe there will be, or probably not, but we can only dream, what character, either existing or new, would you want to play?
There's no way I can't say Dr. Jacoby.
That's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you would just be Dr. Jacoby, or would you be like a new version of Dr. Jacoby, or like a doppelganger?
Jacoby. I would no explanation, complete actor change, complete gender change. It's still Dr. Jacoby. You know, like he probably went to some weird country and had some mystic transplant his consciousness into another body, and he's back and he's thriving.
That's awesome. That's so great. I think for me, I would still want to play the log lady, the younger version of the log lady, like in a prequel. Like, so like season 4, if season 4 was like a prequel type of show, I would want to be that. Because you can't, like you said, she's so badass. And I would get that log tattoo as part of my character. Like, I just love it. I'll just bring it right in. Well, this was fantastic, Sarah. Thank you so much for your time and for everything that you shared. It's so awesome to meet you and hear about your relationship to the show and to your ink. So thank you so much.
Thank you. What a marvelous time.
And now for the list of drinks.
Okay, so the Sarah Palmer is an iced coffee and lemonade with cayenne dust. The Donna Hayward is a maple pistachio Americano. Leo Johnson is a salted blueberry bourbon caramel latte. Garland Briggs is a vanilla raspberry cortado with cinnamon dust. Wyndham Earl is an orange cardamom matcha latte. Harold Smith is an orchid mint Americano. And then we have 3 never been seen before, because I don't know when exactly I want to put them out. Audrey Horn is a blackberry rose vanilla tea latte.
Ooh,
James Hurley is a caramel pumpkin spice latte because he's basic and I don't like him. And Leland Palmer is an amaretto gingerbread latte.
Ooh, that actually sounds really good. It sounds kind of extra sweet, but I would drink that.
I thought it was good. I randomly stumbled across that one a few weeks ago and I was like, I'm off work, but we're not closed. I'm just going to buy a latte and sit here. And I was like, what if I made a Leland Palmer? And I like it because like amaretto and gingerbread, it feels like a strong, cloying, grandfatherly, like it's the energy of like Leland, like going crazy in his little sweater, trying to get someone to dance with him in that like utterly like heavy wood plated room, like that's all I can see when I think of it.
Brilliant.
So that's what we're going for.
Delicious.
I'm going to be doing these until I run out of Twin Peaks characters, so
which will be a very long time because there's a lot of TP characters, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Twin Peaks Tattoo Podcast. Each episode is produced by me, Emily Marinelli. Sound design and theme music by Dr. Animal Proofrock. For more information on today's episode, go to my website, www.twinpeakstattoopodcast.com.